Good morning, business builders, and welcome to Business for Breakfast, where business is the most important meal of the day. I'm your host, Aaron Novinger. On this show, this is where we're going to unpack the top business news over the last 24 hours, sprinkled in with tips and tricks to help you mind your own business. The purpose of this show is we want you to get 1% smarter every day. Now, I know why you guys are here. You love starting off the day with the morning mark. I know you do, because I do, because this is the thing that sets the day for me. And if you guys don't know, I do this show for you, but for me, right? Also a mom and pop Venti shop owner. Okay. The morning mark. I know why you're here. You're here for the morning mark. No props required, no drinks, no gear, just you and a functioning brain will work with what we've got. Wherever you are, desk, truck, kitchen, job site, standing or sitting, it does not matter. Pick one thing you will finish today. Not 10, not a list, just one. Now, mark it mentally. That's the line in the sand. That's the thing the day doesn't get to erase. This is the pause that sharpens the edge, the moment that turns noise into signal, the tiny act that makes business owners dangerous in a good way. That, my friends, is your morning mark. Your day's officially started, so let's dive in, shall we? And thank you, Justin. So how's the sound? Oh, sounds great so far. Thank you, sir. Mucho appreciations. I have been focusing on the lighting, to be honest with you. And because I can't stand those shadows around my glasses. And so I've been like experimenting with where I put these like lights and stuff. So thank you. Don't forget where this stuff is placed. Love it. Okay, good. Now, let's jump into the show, shall we? Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay. In today's news, first thing that we've got to discuss, and I'm going to try to be real careful not to spend too much time on this. Hold on, put my little cup of coffee right there. You know what? Brilliant. Okay, is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? Okay, so that coffee cup, I'm going to try to remember to put that there. Okay. Coffee cup. As I see it, I got to put it down because it's brilliant. And to be honest with you, it kind of goes directly into in honor of why we do the show and who we do the show for. And that is for our mom and pop Venti shop owners. And it's also, the show is also an homage to our modern day oracle, Scott Adams. And I have been a rabid, basically meaning like rabies, frothing at the mouth, raving lunatic fan of Scott Adams since 1997, when I owned a men's accessory store in a local mall. I was a few years out of high school, and that's when I fell in love with Scott Adams and Dilbert. So on today's episode, we're going to start off with an homage to my friend and longtime mentor, Scott Adams. Scott Adams passed away yesterday morning, right after we did our show. Actually, I think he was passing away when we were doing our show. And yesterday's Coffee with Scott Adams was, it was tough, man. It was really tough for me. It's really difficult to understand what it's like when you get a chance to hang out with somebody for years and years and years and years. And I mean, years. I think 2017, I started listening to every single episode he's ever done, and he's done a daily episode. I think since 2016, 2017, I have spent thousands of hours with this man, and I don't have any other words to say he changed my life. Scott Adams changed my life, and he passed away yesterday. And if you were on X yesterday, you saw the world paid homage and tribute to this amazing man. And yesterday on the episode, his ex-wife Shelly Adams, and very, very tight, she runs his estate, and the title of it was the Scott Adams School. And I want to tell you guys right now, if they ever come out with a school, I want to be the first one to help. I always tell everybody, I want to give you a 30-day Scott Adams challenge. And I want you to go online and I want you to just 30 days. I want you to just pick any 30 days. Don't do the last month because we've known he's progressively passing away from the cancer that took him yesterday. But if you can, go do 30 days every day, put his show on 1.5 to 2x speed. And after 30 days, I want you to tell me if you are not changed. And I've listened to every single episode since I think 2017. And he also records over the weekend. So when I say I feel like a really close friend and longtime mentor passed away, and me and the entire world is mourning, it's because he showed up every day just to hang out with us, to be authentic. And that is really the purpose of today's show. And that's really the reason why I felt strongly in my spirit. I felt for years I need to do the show, but when Scott went home from the hospital a couple weeks ago, my spirit said, now it's time for you to do business for breakfast, because we get to continue his legacy and we get to continue his critical thinking skills, his persuasion skills. Yes, the daily news, but also the canary in the coal mine. There's an army of individuals. Jack Posobiec is doing his biography, and there's an army of individuals that feel that it's their job to continue his legacy. And I'm raising my hand. I'm also one of those. So this morning on our Business for Breakfast, today, I wanted to pay tribute and homage to our modern day prophet, Scott Adams. And I believe 100 years from now, we will look back and realize he was just that. Now, can we get into some daily news? Now, don't forget, at the end of this episode, you guys are going to catch the dad joke of the day. Okay, so don't forget at the end. And I believe you're going to love it. All right. Shall we jump into some juicy news? Juicy news. All right. Get some juicy news. Let's talk about first up. Okay. Whoa. We talked about this yesterday, but it's back in the news today, and it's a biggie. Section 179 limits hit record $2.56 million. So the IRS has finally finalized the inflation-adjusted Section 179 deduction limit for 2026, and it is at $2,560,000. This allows businesses to deduct the full purchase price of qualifying equipment. And you guys know this includes that big O Denali. This is the vehicles, the machinery, the office furniture. And remember, it's the year it's placed in service. But what does that matter to us, the mom and pop Venti shop owners? Because it's a massive, ready for this, instant tax break. So if you're planning to upgrade your delivery van, I was just visiting with one of our clients at the accounting firm a couple weeks ago, and he profited pretty substantially this year. And we were working on this in the month of December. Is what do we need to buy? Because we knew that this was coming, and so there was trucks that were purchased and stuff like that. So this is a big deal. But remember, you can deduct it the year it's placed in service. And so you see this a lot of times happening, like at the end of the year in Q4. But remember, it's got to be placed in service this year, so we can deduct it this year. Make sense? All right, you beautiful people. Let's see. U.S. Bank has some news today. The story is it's about bonus depreciation stabilizes at 100%. So after years of scheduled phase outs, 100% bonus depreciation has been extended through the 2026 tax year. Okay. This applies to both new and used equipment for that's the new and used equipment that we can depreciate with a recovery period of 20 years or less. Okay. So why does this matter to us, the mom and pop Venti shop owner? It's because it provides us a safety net. If your capital expenses exceed, the dollars spent on the business hardware, this year is tax deductible. So let me make sure you guys understand this. Most mom and pop shops, what this does really kind of ensures that virtually every dollar spent on the business this year is tax deductible. So with the Section 179 plus bonus depreciation stabilizes 100%. These are enormous. But I'm not done yet. There's something else that we're going to talk about. Let me just make sure, because I know that I saw that today in the news. Okay, it'll come back up. Let's move on to the next story. Okay. The Department of Labor proposes repeal of federal heat safety standards. Okay, so Here's the story. The Department of Labor is moving to repeal a proposed rule that would have mandated specific water and rest breaks for employees working in high heat environments. Now, why does this matter? Hello. If you're in construction, you own construction, you work in construction, you know why. Okay. Now, we do focus, employee safety is number one priority. I think we all understand that. Okay. But the repeal reduces the specific administrative tracking and mandating the break paperwork that small business owners, especially in the construction landscaping business, warehouse space, were having to prepare for. Right. So you guys understand what this means, right? So the same way that, remember how we talked about before that the vendor qualifications that you had to start reporting vendors and individuals you paid more than $600, right? And remember how that got pushed back and repealed, right? Same thing here. Okay, so these are big, big things. You have to understand, depending on the administration, and again, this is not a political show. We don't lean left or right, and we don't pick colors of red or blue. Okay, so this show is dedicated to us, mom and pop Venti shop owners. Okay, so because of the laws and the changes that happened with the last administration, it was a heavy, heavy burden that was put on us. And remember, we, as the mom and pop Venti shop owners, we are the ones that have to spin all 7 plates of business already. And then they add this administrative task on it, which means we as owners, one or two things are going to happen. Either we have to do it ourselves, again, don't have time. If we say yes to something, we have to say no to something else, right? So we know that we don't have the time. And also, if we want to pay an accounting firm, okay, that's just more money that we already don't have. You see the problem, right? It's the perpetual cycle. And remember, the last administration was very good at handpicking the lowest hanging fruit. So all they would do is just raise taxes, basically put some laws and taxation into the people that have the least amount of pushback. Okay. So they just do it and then make you have to deal with it because, again, we're told what to do because Uncle Sam, federal government, the blob, if you'll call it, is our parent. And they tell us grown adults as children what we can and can't do. It's just the way it works. Okay. So you don't have to like it or not like it. It's just the way it is. Okay. All right. This is a huge, huge thing in the news today. Adoption credit threshold increases to $17,670. This is enormous, guys. Enormous. Okay. So the story, the maximum credit for adoption expenses has been raised to $17,670 for 2026. Okay. So this is right from irs.gov. Why does this matter? Okay. So first of all, that the majority of the industrialized nations have been on a downward spiral of population for years. I mean, years. Italy has been basically on the brink of panic forever, like Europe. Matter of fact, over in Italy, you can literally go buy houses for $1, but you just can't be a citizen. They're trying to attract other people from other countries and their money because they're losing it. But that's everywhere. But the United States of America is very, very unique in this because we happen to be the only country where people will literally create a rubber raft and paddle their way across the ocean to get here. So we have thousands and thousands of people that try to get into the United States every year. Okay. And again, amazing. But we have to understand that that comes at a cost. And so the most natural way for us as a country to increase population is to have more kids than the amount of parents, right? So that's how we're going to increase it. But if we can't, then there's adoption. And usually in adoption, it's a 2-part process, right? So you can adopt typically internationally or intranationally, okay? And to kind of give you guys a little bit backstory on my wife and I. We have 2 amazing kids, 4 grandbabies, and the luckiest people on planet Earth. But years and years and years ago, I would say probably 10, 15 years ago, my wife and I had we really felt in our spirit that we needed to adopt kids out of the state's protective services, child protective services. And so we started the adoption process, and it's weird because when you adopt internationally, you just need money and you got to do a little bit of rules and paperwork and stuff. It's a pain, but it's different. When you adopt intranationally, then you're dealing with states, and they have it doesn't cost really much money, but they make up for it with the amount of classes that you have to take. Okay, and so what this really does is really incentivize those that want to be like my wife and I, who feel that in our spirit we need to bring and adopt others in with us. And by the way, we didn't actually fully complete that process because after a year, and we wanted to adopt older siblings, and we didn't want to foster. We wanted them to be ready to adopt. So it took us a long time in the system. And after a year, you have to start redoing the classes again. And so after literally a couple years in the system, we're like, wait a minute, I don't think this spiritually, our spirits are telling us maybe we don't need to do this. Okay. But what I'm saying is adoption is a great, great thing. Okay. And so whenever they can increase it to $17,000, this is huge, man. I mean, for us, owner operators, trying to grow our family, it's just a huge, significant financial offset for us. Okay. So, so for us, we want to share this info with you guys. It really kind of is a, a greatly reduced, if not no cost way to show somebody that doesn't maybe have what you have, a new life, a new opportunity, things like that. Right. So, and when it comes to that, we also want to offer you guys as business owners the same exact thing. Okay. So, if you're a small business owner listening right now, here's something I know that's true for you guys. Okay. You're making important decisions alone, and it's costing you money. Okay. One of the biggest advantages any business owner can have is being part of a peer advisory group. This is not a networking club. It's not a mastermind full of noise. Honestly, it's really a room full of business owners who their job is really to help you think clearly, avoid blind spots, and help you make better decisions. Okay, so we run peer advisory groups every month specifically for small business owners who want clarity, accountability, and most importantly, to make fewer financial mistakes, costly mistakes. Okay. You don't have to be a customer of our accounting firm. We offer this to all of our business owners. So we want to encourage you guys, if this is something that's interesting to you, you're like, oh my gosh, because I want you to think about this as your own personal board of directors. Okay. And so we believe in accountability in all areas of weakness, and small business owners have no accountability. Nobody helps us. So that's why we do this. Okay. We want to give that help. Okay. So you can hit us up a couple different ways. One, you can schedule a quick call with me directly at speakwithaaron.com. It's my personal scheduling website. It linked directly to my calendar, and you'll speak directly to me. And the time you set, I'll call you at that exact time. Or if you have a question or something else, you can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit a question. You can also see the link to the YouTube channel and all that stuff. So, but let's kind of get back into our news, shall we? So let's kind of move into the next story, right? And I pulled this from Soki.ai, and it's about TikTok launching their local explore program. Now, we talked about this already this week, but TikTok has introduced a gamified review system where users earn XP and badges for reviewing local businesses. Okay, so it mimics Google's local guides. Okay, but you have to understand this is aimed squarely at Gen Z and millennial discovery. But I know that sounds weird, but my kids are in two different generations. My oldest is millennial and my youngest is Gen Z. And millennials are Facebook. Like my son and all his friends are Facebook. My daughter, all her friends, TikTok. Right? So what they're trying to do is they already know millennials, yeah, they kind of probably split between TikTok and Facebook, but Gen Z, TikTok, right? And so they're trying to figure out how do we, really make TikTok as relevant as Google reviews and Yelp reviews, right? Will it get there? Man, I don't know. I mean, Google is not the 1,000-pound gorilla. They're not they're like the 10,000-pound gorilla in that space. And I just don't think that Google is going to allow, but again, it's free market. So, let's see what happens, but very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens with that. Let's look at next news story. It's about Meta, which we know is Facebook, restricting link posting for non-verified pages. We discussed that yesterday. Okay. But here's the deal. If you rely on Facebook to drive traffic to let's say your Shopify, your booking site, your organic reach really just hit a paywall because they're only going to allow like 2 external links posted per month. For you to be able to do more, they want you to verify the account at like $15 a month. So you'll have to pay like $15 a month for verified. But I said this yesterday. Please, 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 the small business owners, do not trip over dollars to pick up pennies. Let me say it again. Do not trip over dollars to pick up pennies. Okay. Why do I say that? Because the bottom line is that if this is how you generate revenue, are you telling me that you're going to say, well, I'm just not going to give them the $15? No. That would be, how do we say in Spanish? Stupid. Okay. Just plain stupid. Okay. Don't do it. Please. This is why you need a peer advisory group. I'm telling you, because your peer advisory group is going to make darn sure that you don't do something stupid like that. Okay. Let's roll into the next story, shall we? And this is coming from LinkedIn. They roll out their new AI conversational search. Okay. So here's the story. LinkedIn has launched an AI search tool that allows users, okay, to find local service providers like accountants near me with retail experience, whatever, using natural language. Okay. So here's why this matters. Your LinkedIn profile is no longer just a resume, it's a searchable landing page for your B2B services. Okay. So updating your about section with specific keywords is now critical for being found by the AI. And when you just know it, this is going on my punch list. Because I told you guys before, this show is for you and for me. So, note to self, Justin, we got to make sure that we update our LinkedIn. LinkedIn about us bio task. Okay. Well, there we go. Well, isn't that nice? I told you when we do the news, guys, this is real, and you're going to get real responses, and you're going to see my facial expressions. This is all real. Okay, so, but let's kind of jump into another social media news story. Instagram is set to label human-only content, and this is enormous, man. This is enormous. Okay, because I told you guys this last week on the show that one of the there's a handful of individuals that I follow that are independent journalists for non-aggressive news. Okay, and so that specifically was talking about Victor Davis Hanson, and phenomenal political figure, but he in particular, because he doesn't, like with me, it's very difficult to do AI because I move, okay, and I'm like sporadic and I'm quirky, and so to make me look like AI acting the way I do is very difficult. Okay, doing my voice, that's easy. You literally go to 11 Labs and talk. I think you have to like upload 30 minutes of you talking, and it will duplicate your voice basically perfectly, where someone in the outside, unless it's somebody really, really close to you, won't even recognize it. Okay. But they are now starting to do AI videos of people. Okay. So like if you go if you go political, one of the best guys that does this is Benny Johnson. Okay. Benny Johnson, this guy spits out fire content all day long. His team has to be insane because he spits out the greatest AI generated intros to his videos, and every one of them is some AI generated video. Okay, of and again, he's political, so it might be a President Trump, it could be a Tim Walz, it could be an Obama, whatever it is. AI is creating videos with those individuals. Okay, so this is a big deal. So if Instagram is going to start marking posts as human aid or human made, that is huge for us. Okay, or human produced or human only. That's going to be really, really big because for local shops, let's be honest, your authenticity is always your edge. Okay. So mom and pop business, the big boys are going to beat us in everything except for this one thing, authenticity. Okay. So that's why I've said for years, us mom and pop Venti shop owners are the untold authentic misfits, right? We are the ones that don't fit in anywhere, but we're the most true and authentic people on the planet. You see what I'm saying? All right, let's move into the next story. The story, new 2026 consumer data shows that shoppers are moving away from broad discounts in favor of personalized value recommendations. Really? This item is $50, but will last you 5 years, something like that. Honestly, I know this came from Experian on other blogs, but I don't know. Um, I do hear that, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But I tend to use like myself as the filter on this thing. And so I would say I'm a really good, honestly, the best predictor on planet Earth has always been Scott Adams. Okay. And it'd be very hard pressed to find anybody that's been more public, that's predicted more real world events than Mr. Adams himself. But a case from that, it doesn't matter. Okay. Because I feel like when it comes to this, that the um, the recommendations for me, kind of seeing what my temperature is on that. I know how busy I am, and so maybe that's my filter. Maybe this is the filter. Okay, I'm having a revelation as we're talking because I feel like for the majority of people who are not us, okay, mom and pop owners, okay, not us, then yes, that does make sense that they might be looking for more value-based propositions. Yes, it's $50, but on average, it'll last you 5 years. So you're talking about an average of $10 per year, whatever it is, okay, which is brilliant, by the way. But for me as an owner, that's not how I flow. Okay, so my flow is pretty simple. I need to make sure that I can get whatever I need as fast as humanly possible with the least amount of time and effort on my part. Right? Is that not all of us? Okay. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's one of those things where we just have to be, real careful about because in the end, when it comes to discounts, as owners have to do what we need to do that is the least amount of time. We have to maximize our outputs and also minimize our inputs. So as small business owners, that is our number one job: maximize outputs and also minimizing the input for max output with the minimalist input. Make sense, right? So that's why this is a kind of it seems like it's a big story, but to me as a business owner, I don't feel like it's relevant. You know what I mean? Next story in the news. This comes actually straight from Square Up, but here's the story: in-person contactless payments. This is your Apple, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, Tap to Pay, iPhone, blah blah blah. They've hit record high for independent shops this month. Now, it's actually this is huge, guys. So retail right now, Tap to Pay adoption surpasses, hear me, 85% in local retail. Surpasses 85% in local retail. And I'll tell you something. Most of you guys have known me for years, know that I've been obsessed with Tap to Pay since the day it was put on my Samsung phone. And to be honest with you, Samsung has a phenomenal Tap to Pay. Okay. They were kind of the OG in the space. And then I think Google Pay came out and then iPhone, or maybe those two came out, but Samsung was definitely first. But I'm telling you, Samsung was the OG. And for me, my wife and I were just talking about this last week because here's a little app for you guys to go to basically just save a ton of cash. It's called Upside. Okay. So I'm not sponsored by them. Everything you guys see that I talk about, nobody sponsors me. These are just things that I use. So the purpose of the show, the first person, viewer of the fan of the show is me. So I do the show for me, thinking that whatever I talk about, if it's important to me as a business owner, it's going to be important to you as a business owner, right? And so that was one of those big things. And so Upside, we've used for a long time, but I haven't used it for gas in a long time. But here's why. Because I don't like going to gas stations where I have to go in because I do not carry credit cards. I don't carry debit cards. I have not carried a card in years. Listen to me, in years. Okay. So I can go to Walmart. You can't tap to pay at Walmart, but you can pay with the Walmart app. Okay. And it's called Walmart Pay. And so that's how I go to Walmart. I use Walmart Pay. Okay. But all the other apps take Samsung Pay, Google Pay, or Apple Pay. Okay. And so my wife said, "Hey, we need to start using Upside." And I told her, I said, "I just have to be honest with you. The only reason I haven't been using it as frequently as I should is because I'm nervous about not nervous. That's the wrong word. I am used to, and to be honest with you, kind of addicted to going to gas stations that I know I can pay at the pump and contactless. I can tap to pay at the pump. And those are some of your bigger regional nationwide gas stations are doing this. And a lot of times the upside gas stations on there are minimal. So they're like minimal on the top tier technology. But I told my wife, I said, I don't care. I said, you know what? You're right. Because you guys know we talk about this basically every day. One of my biggest life values, the day that you adopt it changes you forever, is having this one mindset. It's not my idea or your idea, but the best idea that wins, right? Best idea wins. And so we were sitting down and she says, hey, I think you should do this. And I said, here's why I don't do it. I said, but let's do best idea wins. And I said, what's the pros and cons for me not going in and just prepaying? So if I can go to the Upside app, and like I just did it 2 days ago, and it was like 40 cents, 41 cents on regular gas. I'm not kidding. You save enormous amounts of money in this app. It's huge. So for me, and by the way, if you guys are not watching, but you're listening, you will hear me throughout the show sip. What you're hearing me sip is my Tulsi tea. Okay. So absolutely love it. And big fan of it. Most of the world knows it as holy basil tea, but life bending, really powerful for the body. But I sip it while I'm doing the show and all morning long because I love it and it's good for me. All right. So, but the tap to pay, really want you guys, for me, if you can, go download the Upside app. When you go get gas or whatever, just get used to pulling up the app before you go. And the amount of money that you're going to save is still huge. And to my surprise, I started doing that where I just go to Upside, pick the gas station. And here's what I'm surprised by. There's more independently owned gas stations that are tap to pay than I realized. So now I'm saving money every time I do gas, which is free money, right? So that's also part of today's show. Our job in this show is to make you 1% smarter today. If we can teach you something today that you didn't know or use yesterday, we win, because this is a game of consistency. You guys know we talk about it all the time. Consistency is the key. Routine is the key. Consistency sets you free. Routine is the key, but the consistency sets you free. Okay. So speaking of consistency, we know that you as a small business owner need accountability. Okay. We all need it. And we all know the higher up we go in leadership, all the way to owning the business, the less accountability we have. And let's be honest, even Tiger Woods needs a swing coach. We need our own swing coach. But for business, we call that a board of directors. Okay. Now, you and I both know that only the big boys have board of directors. Not today, not anymore. In 2026, this is the first time in human history that an accounting firm actually partners with their clients. I know, big shocker. Whoa, huge shocker. And now this year, we've got accountability built in. And we are launching this year our peer advisory groups. Okay. One of the biggest advantages any business owner can have is being a part of an advisory group. Trust me, this is not a networking group. It's not a mastermind full of noise where you're all there to prop each other up. This is a real room of business owners who help you think clearly, avoid those blind spots, and make better decisions. Okay. We run peer advisory groups specifically for you. And by the way, you don't have to be a customer of our accounting firm. If you're listening to the show, we want to put you in a group. If you're listening to the show, we want you in. It doesn't cost any money, by the way. Our groups are always free. Always free. Okay. This is about all of us linking arms to get across the finish line together. Okay. So I know what you need right now is help running that small business. We're getting into tax season. We need help with taxes, accounting, structure, cleanup, consulting. I need a board of directors. We do it all. Okay. We'll clean the books. We'll clear your numbers or your taxes. We'll do the consulting. All do it. No nonsense. Okay. If you want to talk through all that, you guys can go to our scheduling website, speakwithaaron.com. It's my personal scheduling website. Schedule us a time to chat whenever it's convenient for you. And I will call you at that exact moment on the nose. Or if you have questions, or if you don't want to do that, you can go to businessforbreakfastradio.com. check us out a little bit there. Submit a question. I'll respond back, or we'll read it on the air, whatever it is. But you've got ways to get a hold of us. Do it. I'm telling you, in a peer advisor group, let me tell you this, you will get more, and they're 12-week sessions, okay? You will get more done in 12 weeks than you did the last 2 years because of consistency, right? Routine and consistency. All right. Let's move into, one of my favorite nonprofit organizations, NFIB. Here's the story. NFIB data shows a positive shift in supply chain sentiment. While 64% of owners still report disruptions, more are moving from significant impact to mild impact, which is huge, okay? Because what this is doing for us business owners, you have to understand the big organizations. Okay, so I'll give you two different examples. So let's take Walmart, right? So arguably the best just-in-time inventory retailer maybe in the world, them and Amazon, okay? Best just-in-time retailers, okay? And so, but small businesses don't have that luxury, okay? And so when small business themselves are saying, "Hey, I'm noticing I'm actually, kind of increasing here, and I'm not feeling the restrictions as much." This is huge, man. This is huge for us because we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders 24 hours a day. I say we have not one, but two elephants sitting one on each shoulder. So the purpose of Business for Breakfast, the purpose of our accounting firm, right, is specifically to put those darn elephants in the sauna, and those dudes got to come out lighter. Our job is to lighten the load on your shoulders. Okay. Let's get those elephants to shrink a little bit. Okay. So the fact that this story is in the news is telling us to kind of lean out the emergency safety stock that we had and kind of return back into just-in-time ordering for kind of the non-essential items to kind of free up that cash flow. Because you understand, inventory sitting, in your warehouse, that's money. You've already paid for it. And it's actually really what you should be doing if you have inventory in your warehouse is you should be taping life-size pictures of pallets of dollar bills to it. Because if you go out there and you just kind of refrain from not seeing the furniture that's out there, but seeing like piles of dollar bills. But here's the thing, they're all behind a paywall. There's a wall. You can't get to it. Why? Because you got to sell it to get the cash. But that's why businesses have to focus heavily on getting rid of that inventory. Okay. And the fact that they can actually start moving more to, you know, um, just in time is a huge push. Huge push for the economy. What else is in the news today? All right, we got a story here. The SBA's $220 million Tech Hubs funding program has a looming February 18th deadline for stage 2 applications. Okay, so why does this matter to us, mom and pop? Wow, this targets typically 19 specific hubs. The secondary effect is a surge in local tech infrastructure. Okay, so here's what this means. If you're a service provider, HVAC, plumbing, electric, right? Even us, accounting, legal, whatever, catering, janitorial, restaurants, all that. Near these hubs, we want you to get ready for a localized boom in your corporate contracts. Okay. So you have to understand most of the time, and you guys are seeing this huge on the news. Like I feel like the last couple months, I see Meta commercials all the time, and they're running their data center commercials. Like we're bringing large data centers, meaning um, stimulus to local communities around the country, and that's typically how the Magnificent Seven will do. And it's not just Magnificent Seven. Usually, like even the big, like the Fortune companies will do this. They typically will go in, okay, and they find small towns and they will go in and they will make that town. Like for instance, the town that we spent years raising our kids, a little town called Mansfield, Texas. Okay, so Mansfield, Texas has the largest employer in Mansfield is a company called Mouser Electronics. Mouser, that's owned by TTI, a Warren Buffett Berkshire Hathaway company. Okay, Mouser's been in Mansfield. I mean, I think 50 years. Like I mean, decades and decades and decades. When this town was nothing but a cow town, and it was the largest employer in cow town. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. When these companies do this, they bring real localized growth revenue to local towns. And it's huge for them. Okay, so pay attention to this. We've got one. Google did a huge data center outside of Tulsa, which is one of where their offices at. And the amount of, I have clients that live out there, and they're talking about, oh my gosh, like everything, like the housing. That's a big one, by the way. Let me focus on this. If a data center is getting close to you, buy, buy. The price of housing is going to go up. This actually does raise, because you have to understand it's increasing the value of the community. So we're talking about Mansfield, Texas. Okay, in the '90s, they formed a plan to be basically this powerhouse city. Decades down the road. So very strategically, over a 20-year period, first thing they do, dump tons of schools in. First thing they do is they blow up the schools. Okay, school, school, school. Every year for years, we're getting rezoned. Okay, school, 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 school. Then hospitals, and you bring in professionals. This town now has 2 hospitals, doctors everywhere, everything that supports it. Guess what? These people need a place to stay. They need a place to live. These people are all 6-figure. You understand what happens? These magnificent 7 companies come in and pay everybody unbelievable money. Okay, unbelievable money. Okay, then that raises everything. So when people are searching for your town, what's one of the first things they search for? Crime, average income. They do it. You guys know this. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a big, big deal for local communities. It's benefits. We might not like the fact that these companies keep getting bigger. That's a different story. That's a different topic. Okay. Might not like the fact that Walmart might do some shady things but the bottom line is they quite literally support working class blue collar America. Okay, so you can like or dislike, but you can't disagree with the power of these companies. Okay. What else is in the news today? Oh. The EDA, which I think is Economic Disaster Administration. I think that's what it stands for. But it's basically disaster supplemental funding. Okay, but it's accepting applications for 1.45 billion in disaster recovery funding for communities hit by the 2025 storms and wildfires. Okay, so we talked about this the other day. That was a different set of funding. But here's the thing. Here's why it matters to you, because these aren't just for rebuilding. They include industry transformation grants that help the local economies and communities pivot after the disaster. Okay. So that's typically what happens is big disaster, big fires, and then 20 years from now, you won't even recognize the community in the town. Okay. So EDA is accepting those applications, and the funding deadline, the March 3 is the deadline. Okay. So if you were affected by the 2025 storms, wildfires, this is for you. Okay. Make sure you guys research it, find it. Okay. And I think it's going to help you guys. What else is in the news today? Today. Okay. Let's see. Anything that let's see. Okay. Oh. Okay. Moving into some other stories before we wrap the show up, before we move into our next segment. Just see if there's anything else out there that we need to talk about. I've got more stories and to cover every day because you guys know this dude likes to talk. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, we're talking about here's a couple little stories for us. Over 1.1 million Anchor power banks. You guys know Blue Eddy, or actually, if you hear the guys from the company talking about it, it's Blue Tea. Okay, but most everybody pronounces it Blue Eddy, and you don't want to sound like an idiot, so just call it Blue Eddy. But Anchor, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, is also one of the big power bank manufacturers, and they've been recalled due to overheating risks. Okay, and this is a big deal because these power banks, and I don't think they're the big ones. They might be the smaller ones. Kind of power the mobile. It's the point of sale systems and tablets that are in the shop. Okay. Make sure you guys check the model number immediately. A fire in a retail space, you guys know this. Most of everything in our business will light on fire. We do accounting. You don't think that quite literally our entire office, all you have to do is light a match and the entire thing basically has gasoline on it. I mean, the amount of paperwork we have in our office is mind bending. Okay. And we actually do a lot of stuff technology wise and, electronically, and we still have enormous amounts of paper. Okay. So pay attention to that. Okay. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover before. Let's see. All right. New hub zones, marketing reports. No discount strategy. Let's see. Okay. You know what? Fantastic. I think that's going to cover all the big news that we had on the show today. Now, if we can, and we just finished up the juicy news segment. Juicy news. Juicy news. Okay. Now, you guys know that I talk about it every day, but I will continue what Mr. Adams started before he passed away. A month before, it was about is before he went in the hospital. So this is probably a month or two ago. He started at the end of all of his episodes. He would do a reframe from his latest book, How to Reframe Your Brain. And I'm going to tell you guys, go buy his books. They will change your life. He will change your life. I know yesterday on the show, Shelly Adams, his ex-wife, who runs his estate, they're best friends. She's basically the one that kind of continues it. So if you can go to YouTube, it's all there. She and her team are continuing to keep it alive. And, I want to be able to continue that. And also, the purpose of today is we get 1% smarter. So why don't we just kind of do a quick little reframe from chapter 7? Because every day I try to do a reframe from a different chapter. Okay. So yesterday was chapter 6. Today is going to be chapter 7, the operating system of your mind. Oh my gosh. This dude will blow your mind, face, and brain right off. Okay. Oh, this is biggie. By the way, I picked these while we're on air. I really try as hard as I can for my expressions to be genuine. Okay. So, and if you guys know anything about me, what you see here, this is this dude on the daily. Okay. So this ain't an act. This is just me. Right. And so, but here's a reframe. So the way it is if you go get the book, you'll see there's the usual frame and then the reframe. Okay. So the usual frame is how we've been taught to think of something. Okay. Here is the usual frame. You are the product of your experiences and genes. Meaning you have a victim mindset that things happen to you and not for you. Okay. Here's his reframe. You are the author of your experience. You are the author of your experience. I need to tell you guys a quick story. For years and years and years, I was a big supporter of the annual Dallas Cowboy Luncheon, and grew up in Philly, so Eagles and the Chiefs are my boys. But growing up in DFW, you also, tolerate the Cowboys, okay? And I'm just kidding. You can tolerate the Cowboys, but I love Jerry Jones. Not because of the owner, but just because of who he is and what he's done through his career. You guys know my lens of everything is always business. And so, but here's the story. So years and years ago, this is before AT&T Stadium was actually first built, okay? I had and for 15 years, we would sponsor a table at the annual Dallas Cowboy Luncheon, which, if you know about the event from DFW and you've ever been, so the Dallas Cowboys back in the 80s partnered with an amazing organization called Happy Hill Farm. The founder, Ed Shipley, has long since passed, but had a vision to create a camp, if you will, a farm for at-risk young adults, and to help give them a new direction, give them purpose, and point them, in a success direction, teaching them success principles. Okay, Happy Hill Farm teaching success, because success is not, you're not born with it. It's a skill that you have to be taught. So you have to learn it from something or someone, or you have to be taught it. Okay, but you're not born with it. And so, for years and years, decades, Dallas Cowboys, Tom Landry first partnered with Ed Shipley back in the 80s. And so for decades, this has been an annual event. Dallas Cowboys do an annual Dallas Cowboy Luncheon. It's the very beginning of the season before they've cut any players. Okay. And for years and years and years and years, this was always done at the Hotel Intercontinental in Dallas. And to be honest with you, you've never in your entire life seen a room this big. So I want you to imagine one room in a hotel, not a convention center. Convention centers, you kind of expect it. This is just a room in a hotel that is so big that it can fit hundreds of tables that seat 10 people. Hundreds. That just tells you the size of the event. But because Happy Hill Farm takes no money from the state or government, so because they want to be able to teach their own curriculum without interference, so they rely solely on outside support. And so all the funding that comes in from the Dallas Cowboy Luncheon, they do a huge auction. All the proceeds go directly to Happy Hill Farm. amazing. Great organization, great cause, great purpose, and you have a lot of fun. The thing about Jerry is he understands fun and entertainment. Okay. He gets it. He understands what people want and he knows how to give it to them. Okay. So the way these events always work is it's the players sitting up on this big thing. We're served meals, there's auctions, there's gifts, blah, blah. And you've got this table of the players, the coaches, and then Jerry. Okay. And so some of the players, key players will speak, then the coaches speak, and Jerry always speaks last. Okay. So Jerry Jones gets up to speak, and this is the year before they moved into AT&T Stadium. This one thing changed my life. Hear me. This changed my life. Because when you understand when Jerry Jones speaks, people do not understand the brilliance because he speaks simply and he repeats what he says. But if you actually hear and more importantly, understand what he's saying, it changes your life. So this is the year before they move into AT&T Stadium. It's well underway. Okay. And this is last year they're having it at the Hotel Intercontinental. And he gets up to speak and he's talking about how everybody said it was impossible to build this stadium. Okay. First of its kind. Everything was first of its kind for AT&T Stadium. Okay. First of its kind. But the biggest hurdle the Dallas Cowboys had was Dallas didn't want to help partner with the Cowboys and pay for a part of the stadium. Didn't want to do it. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys. So what town ended up saying, we'll go? Arlington. Same place where the Texas Rangers are at. Arlington. That was the first hurdle. And it almost didn't pass the city of Arlington. Okay. It was huge to make this happen. But then Jerry talks about, because everybody was talking about in the news and the media, this one huge thing that Jerry is putting the first of its kind end zone to end zone TV screen in the stadium. Okay. And I'm talking like 4K, like the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line. I'm not kidding. 7 stories tall, 4K. You've never seen anything like this in your entire life. Never. Okay. But this is the year before they moved in the stadium. So nobody's ever seen this. But he's talking about it. And he said, well, everybody said, how did you do it, Jared? And he said, and I say Jared like I know him. And he said, so the people asked him, where'd you get the inspiration? And he said, my wife and I, and Jerry is married to Jean. So Jerry and Jean Jones. And they were at a Celine Dion concert way back in the day when she was in Vegas. And she was at the top of her game and had the greatest Vegas show maybe ever. Like I'm talking amazing. Okay. Cirque du Soleil, like that type of quality. Okay. And Jerry said she had one of the biggest 4K screens he'd ever seen. And while he was in there, he has this one idea. Why can't we do the same thing for the stadium? Because she has to have such a big, theater that when you're in back, you can't see her. So they need a screen. I'm building a stadium that holds over 100,000 people, especially with standing room only. Why don't we do the same thing? But it's never been done before. Yeah, I know. But why can't we? Why can't we? Okay. So Jerry is speaking and he's talking at the Dallas Cowboy Luncheon. And he says, people said it was impossible. And he says this one thing. He says, people ask me, they say, everything I touch turns to gold. They call me King Midas. And that is not it at all. He said, my philosophy in life has been very simple and it's done me really well. Are you ready for this? Dream big, dream big, dream big, and then start planning for it. Dream big, dream big, dream big, and start planning for it. Success is a very, 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 very simple formula. Success equals planning plus execution. Meaning, whatever you think of, you can have. Whatever you can think of, you can have. You are the limit to your life. Okay. So what I'm talking about here, Scott's Reframe, you are the author of your experience here. That's why Scott always said that he believes in the stimulation, not in the fact that a video game, but a higher power that is basically allowing us to kind of build our own experience as we go. Right. Which in Christianity, we would call that free will, right? So this makes a lot of sense, but I want you guys to understand, you guys are in control of it. You're in control of it. Okay. So be intentional. Okay. You are not a victim. You are not a product of your parents, of your experience, of your generations. You are not. We are breaking that cycle today. Today it's broken. Okay. Today we have a new beginning. Today you are the author of your experience today. And you guys know we start every show with the morning mark. That is step one. What's the one thing that has to be done today that's going to move you or your business forward? That's what you do. The morning mark. This is how we start authoring our own experience. Make sense? You guys get it? Okay. I knew you would, man. Okay. So before we jump off, you guys know I like to give a little tip and trick to help you run your business a little bit better. And the one that I've been really focusing on for our business owners is the 4 C's of customer service. It's actually the 4 C's of feedback, okay? But it falls underneath the customer service plate of business. And the 4 C's of feedback is simple, okay? Comments, criticism, complaints, compliments. That's it. Comments, criticism, complaints, compliments. Most business owners think 3 are bad and 1 is good. And in actuality, 3 are great, 1 is okay. Why? Man, it's not hard, right? Because, yeah, you feel good when you get a little like or an attaboy or, oh my God, I love your business, right? Who the crap cares about that? How does that help you support your customers better? It doesn't. That only comes from feedback, comments, criticism, complaints. And here's what, if you guys will do this one tiny thing today, it's changed. Today, it's changed. And there are enough people today that will hear this show that it will change their life. And here it is. Stop thinking of feedback as negative, and I want you to start imagining a cash register. Hear me. The old-timey ones that we got when we were kids, or we got for Christmas. That one. Okay. So follow me here. Okay. Imagine we've got, are you tracking here? Okay. So we've got this little Christmas tree, the 4 C's of feedback, right? The cash register. So when you get a comment, criticism, or complaint, I want you to imagine a cash register going cha-ching and that drawer swinging open. And I want you to imagine dollar bills flying out of it. You can see it right now, right? You can see it. Cha-ching. I just watched in my mind. The door flew open and I watched dollar bills fly out. Today, you're going to see this. You're going to see feedback differently today. Because today, you're going to look at it from the point of view of, wait. This is not negative. This is going to make me some money. And I'm not talking about just comments, criticisms, or complaints about your business. I want you to also think of it as a cash register when you hear it about yourself. Woo! Ooh! Feel the fire. Feel the fire. Okay, because business is one thing, personal is something else. I'm talking, this is 3rd-degree black belt, like psychological conditioning here. Okay. If you can start receiving feedback and instead of taking it personal and getting offended, if you can start seeing a cash register that pops out and you're at cha-ching, your life is different. Today, it's different. Today, it's different. And to be honest with you, that reframe came from Scott Adams. Taught me that years ago. Okay. Now you get it. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That guy it wasn't daily political world news. This was critical thinking, persuasion skills, canary in the coal mine. I mean, it was all of it wrapped up in an hour show. Okay. So, and you guys know that's the purpose of this show. Except I don't like politics. I don't want to talk about that garbage. I want to equip you, mom and pop Venti business owner, to help you mind your own business today. Okay. You're going to get 1% smarter. You're going to be encouraged. You're going to be inspired. You're going to learn a little bit. That's what we do on this show. Okay. That's what we do. All right. Now, that is going to wrap up another amazing episode of Business for Breakfast. And I told you that you would not regret it. And it'd be the best one you ever saw. We get to finish with a dad joke today. Are you ready for that? A dad joke. Okay. Here it is. I walked into a Starbucks the other day and asked the barista for a mild roast. And she said, well, you've got a small pointy nose. What? Hear it. Woot, woot. Dad joke of the day. I got a small pointy nose. I got a mild roast for my barista. Yes. I know you guys would love it. And I knew you waited the entire time for that. Okay. So if you guys are needing assistance, you want help, you want to get 2 years of the stuff done in 12 weeks, you need to reach out for to get into one of our peer advisory groups. January's is closed. We're taking spots for February. If you guys need small business accounting help, bookkeeping, payroll, tax help, consulting, whatever, we got you. You need to go to speakwithaaron.com, and that's Aaron, Aaron, okay? Not ERIN, that half the baristas at Starbucks put on my stuff. Makes no sense. How did nobody teach you the difference between the female and male version of Aaron? I don't know. Okay? But I know today, okay? So, all right. So businessforbreakfastradio.com, submit questions. We'll read them on the air. I'll respond directly. And remember, guys, on this show, okay, if you think running your business is hard or it's easy, you're right. You know what time it is, gang. It's time to get to work. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace.